Hi everyone, it's Carolyn from In the Gray, and today I'm going to show you my garden. One of the most recent additions to our garden is this peach tree. So we have some peaches on our peach tree, but the majority of these are going to have to come off. We want the roots to get better established. So in my front garden bed we have a lily. This is my woolly lamb's ear, which has probably tripled in size from last year. I'm going to start picking that and drying it for tea. We have our thyme plant. This is our German thyme plant. It's coming back from last year. I just planted some seedlings out here, some of which look like they are not doing well. This is a sage that I started from seed. This is cinnamon basil. This one is also cinnamon basil. We have a purple basil that is looking terrible. Some parsley that I transplanted. We actually kept that over the winter in the house. We have Emily basil. This is the oregano coming back from last year. This is some lemon basil. I started from seed. This one is also a lemon basil, looking sad. This is marjoram that came back from last year. And I just planted this guy. This is a Love Lies Bleeding amaranth. And as you can see, I have a row of irises along the back. Those were transplanted from the flower bed in the backyard. So this is where I plant a lot of my herbs, because herbs do have a tendency to spread, so I like to put them in the front where they can get big and beautiful and the whole thing can be packed with herbs if that's the way it's going to be. I do have some herbs that I am planting in the back just because there are more herbs to grow. You waiting for me, puppy? Here we have some sedum that my friend gave to me. We also have a couple of rose bushes that are lovely, that are going to make their way into our front garden, our front yard somewhere. We're going to expand that. I have the sage that I transplanted. There's actually 2 plants in there, and I'm hoping it fills that pot up. I have some other pots here. Some chives. We don't eat just a lot of chives, but they're something that comes back every year, and they're lovely, so they came back. I have some horehound, which is a medicinal herb. It's in, I believe it's in the mint family. I'm gonna make some teas out of that. I have my lemon balm, which is amazing. In this pot, this is some more horehound down here, and in this pot I have some strawberries. If you had looked in our some of our previous videos, you would have seen that we had a box that we had some strawberries in over winter, and the ants just really infested it, so we went ahead and got rid of that. I salvaged these 2. This one I thought was a goner, but it has started to come back. And then a little tiny dill seedling that I tried to put in there. That's looking pretty sad, so I direct sowed some dill. This is our cayenne pepper that we overwintered. It's really starting to come back and enjoy it, so it's going to go into the garden bed in the very first spot. This is a pot that is not planted. You can see that there's some kind of volunteer tomato. In these other pots I have some things growing. I have some chamomile growing in this pot. I'm hoping it really just comes up and fills that in. Planted some petunias for beauty. This is a oregano that is hanging on and should be transplanted as soon as he makes a comeback. And this is our lemongrass that was inside for the winter with a lack of light and a lack of water, so we are trying to nurse it back to health. Now onto the main garden bed. Here in the first garden bed we have lettuce. This is all the Rocky Top lettuce mix from Baker Creek. Look how beautiful. Look how beautiful that is. These are some other lettuces. I've mentioned before that I am a high school teacher, and so we actually were working on starting a garden at school, and because of everything that's happened, I had to bring some of those plants home so that they didn't go to waste. So that's some of that lettuce. I'm not sure what kind it is. I've really not had a lot of luck growing lettuce in the past, so this small amount of success is really exciting. I think last year I had one row of black-seeded Stimson lettuce that grew for me outside, and we don't even like that lettuce. So I'm really excited about the success here, even though this is going to be coming out soon. It's really important to remember that you want to grow things that you want to eat. So if I were growing a whole bunch of spinach and I didn't like to eat spinach, it would be a waste of my garden space. So it's really important as we're growing things, especially if you have a limited amount of space like I do, that you grow things that you're going to eat or enjoy. I know I have some rose bushes and some other things that I'm going to be planting that aren't edible, but the purpose of that is to bring me joy. This whole gardening experience is about bringing me joy and helping to feed our family fresh, organically grown, nutritious food. So keep that in mind when you're planting. So we have our lettuce here. We have bunching onions all along the side here. I didn't really know what the bunching onions were all about until recently. We have some spinach looking beautiful, ready for harvest. We have some cilantro that has not bolted just yet. And I'm keeping all of these things under this insect row cover, which if you didn't see that video, I will link to that in the cards. We have some kale. These were all starts from the school, so all of that. And then my goal in planting this, I knew I've never grown cauliflower or broccoli before, but I knew they would get huge. I mean, just look at the size of that leaf. It's massive. And so my goal here was to plant some things that could come to maturity before these plants got too big. And so what I planted were some cherry bell radishes. Those are the cherry bell radishes that I planted all intermingled. I planted a variety of radishes, but I planted the ones I knew would come to maturity first down here with the broccoli and cauliflower. I don't know which is which. So we have all of this beautiful broccoli and cauliflower and some weeds. I did start some onions from those small bulbs, onion sets, and so those are growing in the back. These are some more radishes, and this is tatsoi, which is similar to a bok choy or a pak choy, but has a little bit sweeter of a flavor. It's got a green stem instead of the white that you would see like on a bok choy. I have these little very tiny red seedlings are the Chinese multicolored spinach. It's an amaranth variety. I'm not sure why they are so small, but that is what it is. Here we have some red Russian kale, and that needs to be thinned, but some of that is looking really good. This, I am not exactly sure what that is. It might be, I'm just not exactly sure. I think this is Swiss chard, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I didn't do a very good job of marking down what I was planting where. So that makes it difficult. I have, I think, a cabbage, another cabbage, a collard green, not exactly sure. So These are all kohlrabi. I know that because I started some inside that I overwatered and they died, and so I tried again and I direct sowed. Some of them are looking better than others, and so still again more need to be thinned. So here we have radishes. Now these radishes are of the variety that are going to take a little bit longer to mature. This is a nasturtium that I have just transplanted that is not looking that well. I have on the trellis, I have some peas. I've had peas on the trellis since late February, and they are just being attacked by something, by birds or something. They just aren't doing very well. This kale is one that I put in the ground last fall. So I planted this, I think, late October. This kale got no coverage at all. I put a Rubbermaid tote over my carrots and over my dinosaur kale in the back, but I didn't give any cover to this kale, and it was delicious before it went to seed. So I am going to let this flower, maybe eat some of these pods. They say you can eat them like a broccoli. And so I'm going to let them flower, enjoy their beauty, and harvest the seeds to save for my collection. Okay, so back here we have the 55-gallon plastic tub. It was a drum that I had Chef cut in half, and I have planted my lemon balm that I started from seed. This is some peppermint that I had from a friend of mine years ago, gave me a sprig, and every time that I have moved since then, I've just taken another sprig with me. And then here we have some apple mint, another lemon balm. I have some chocolate mint over here and some orange mint. And so I'm going to be using those to make teas. I also have some potato grow bags. I'm brand new at growing potatoes. I've never done it before. Look at my plants in there, and I'm trying to mulch over them. And I got the seed potatoes from Gateway Greening. This one is not, there it is. Just starting to jump up. And I have the white potato, red potato, and the Yukon Gold potatoes growing. So I'm very excited to see what we can do in just these 4 small grow bags. I'm not expecting a ton, but I am hopeful that we do get a little bit of a harvest. So we are really growing wherever we can, and in all of these little places. One of the very exciting things that we invested in this year was the garden tower, and that's what I'm going to show you now. This is our garden tower. So you may have seen them online or in other videos, but essentially what this is it's a way to plant 50, there are 50 of these holes, and in the center, in this guy, is a compost tube. So you put your kitchen scraps and things like that in there, and you put worms in there. We got some red wrigglers in there, and then you pull out from the bottom, there's a drawer down here. After it rains, you pull it out and re-water the tower with that, and it has those worm castings, which really are nutritious for plants. So what I've done here is I have planted 3 tomatoes on top. These are determinate tomatoes. 2 of them are golden nugget. 1 of them is Baxter's bush cherry. I have these 2 rows still available because those are going to be for our peppers, our smaller varieties of peppers. You can see I just planted a sage in there, so I had another seedling. I planted an entire row, 10 spots with dragon tongue bush beans. Then I put some Hokkaido black soybeans and some Kentucky Wonder beans in there. And then I spaced them out, and I planted 3 of the things with some bush squash, some crook neck squash, and some zucchini. So over here we have another sunflower. This one is a mammoth sunflower, so it's going to get much bigger. A couple of calendula back here. I've got an echinacea in this pot and a calendula here. We have borage. We have, this is my tomato row. And so this one is the one that we saved seed from. So it could be a paste tomato, it could be a Paul Robeson tomato, it could be a mix of the two. We have some purple basil again. This tomato is the Dr. Weich's. I am not sure what happened to my tag for this one. We have another purple basil. This one is the Solar Flare. It is by far the biggest, healthiest tomato that I started this year. Really strong. This one is a Paul Robeson. We've got another borage. This is actually 2 or 3 borage starts. We have the Mortgage Lifter. This is the Dark Queen. This is one from Brad Gates over at Wild Boar Farms. Got some Emily basil, our Brandywine. This one is a cherry tomato. We have the black cherry from Wild Boar Farms, and this one just blows me away. It is so very purple. You look under those leaves. Now this one is blue boarberries from Wild Boar Farms, and it is really rich in anthocyanin, so it's supposed to be that purple. We have another mammoth sunflower. That is our rain barrel catchment system, which we will be revealing soon. And then down here we have a couple more sunflowers being protected. So for my tomato row, we have a cattle panel zip tied up on some T-posts as a way to help support those tomatoes as they grow. These indeterminate tomatoes get to be 8 to 10 feet tall, and they can start bending over and really looking crazy. And so we wanted to make sure we had something that we could give them support further along. We're going to put a cattle panel just like this in the back for the vining squash and the Armenian white cucumbers this coming week. I have one more Dr. Weich's tomato that I could not just let go of, and I put it here in this giant pot, so hopefully that does well there. Now in this space we just have some sunflowers that go along there, one there, and then this is pretty much open. In here I want to plant the roselle, which is a plant that can be used for tea, or okra. Another uninvited guest to our garden is this, I believe it's called a stinkhorn, some kind of fungus. And so I'm not really sure what they are. I looked it up, and they're usually a consequence of the compost or the mulch that you put down. And I just bought this bagged mulch from Lowe's last year, and now we have these guys. I don't know that they're harmful, but they surely are unpleasant looking. I want to thank you all for joining me. I hope that you've enjoyed this garden tour. I can't wait until things are really lush and I can show you everything that is coming out of the garden, how I'm going to preserve it, and how I'm going to use it. That is the purpose of this, and that's what our goal is. And so I want to make that connection between the garden and the kitchen, and I look forward to sharing that with you. Thank you for joining me for my first ever garden tour. I can't wait to see what the season brings. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and share it with anyone you think might enjoy it. Until next time.